Vasu, you have started the recording?
Yes, I started.
Great, great. So guys, welcome back to the session. Yesterday we introduced ourselves to the term application server. What is an application server? What's the history of application server? What is this JBoss application server? An intro or a definition of the JBoss application server. Before we continue, anyone, any questions? Clear? All clear? Great. I hear no question from Search. Fazil or Shriram, you have any questions? Okay.
No, no.
Great. So let me start our session here for today. Okay. As I said, today we'll be discussing about an JBoss application server, few basics and the concepts related to the JBoss application server. So if you see the JBoss application server, yesterday I said that JBoss application server is an application server coming from the open source community called as jboss.org, or it might even come from Red Hat community, which is an enterprise community. Before we try to get more details on the statement, let's go back a little bit in the time. So if you see previously, before the Red Hat was taking over the JBoss application server, the JBoss application server was available as a community edition. Shiva, what do you mean by community edition? Community edition is nothing but it's an open source edition. Like how we have the Tomcat application server where anyone and everyone can take the code, where anyone and everyone can compile the code, where anyone and everyone can add to that particular code. So that is called as a community edition. Community edition is nothing but it's a free edition. Anyone and everyone can download it. Anyone and everyone can modify the code as per their requirement. So JBoss application server, when it was being introduced into the market, it was introduced under the open source community called as jboss.org. And the application server that has been downloaded from this jboss.org, or in the recent time Wildfly, we call that one as a community edition or an open source edition or a free edition. And when the community edition or when the market was getting more and more popular for the open source technologies, cost effective technologies, Red Hat, what it did is that it went into the jboss.org, whatever the end version of the community edition that is coming, they're taking that, making a little bit modification, and they're releasing it as an enterprise edition. Okay. What is the enterprise edition? Enterprise edition is a licensed edition. Enterprise edition is a complete full-fledged support edition. For every N version of the community edition, we will have N-1 edition of enterprise copy. Okay, let's say I have the community edition having the version N. I'll have the N-1 version, N-1 edition of the enterprise copy. So tomorrow someone is saying that I'm working on a JBoss application server, 8.x coming from the community edition or Wildfly or jboss.org. I'll be working on a JBoss application server EAP 7.x. 8.x, 7.x. Open source community EAP edition. EAP is nothing but enterprise application platform. Clear? EAP is nothing but enterprise application platform. For every N version of the community, we'll have an N-1 edition of the enterprise copy. And any software which is being downloaded, which has an extension or a prefix or a suffix called as an EAP, that means to say that it has an enterprise copy. It is a copy that is being downloaded from the Red Hat community or Red Hat portal. which is a licensed one. Shiva, one question here. So that means to say that we don't have any difference between the community versus the enterprise? No. There are very, very minute negligible differences between the community and enterprise. But from the features point of view, both community and enterprise edition, both of them are same. Am I clear? From the features point of view, both your community as well as enterprise copy are one and the same. There's no difference between the community edition and the enterprise edition. But the difference between the community and the enterprise is majorly from the support point of view. Okay, your enterprise copy or enterprise license will give you a predefined support agreement, support related things, okay, with the enterprise copy. But the one which you're trying to download it from the community, you don't have a support. You can post a question. If I'm okay, I'll respond. If I'm not okay, I'll not respond. You can't put a hard and fast rule saying that, hey guys, I downloaded the software from your portal called as in jboss.org. Since I downloaded the software from the jboss.org community or the Wildfly community, you help me an answer within next 1 hour. I can't put that particular rule in the community edition. But in case of an enterprise edition, you have a predefined support agreements with the Red Hat community, using which you can try to prioritize your issue. You can prioritize your ticket. So if you see the JBoss application server, as I said, JBoss application server is available either as a community or an enterprise. Enterprise, make it a blind rule that it comes from the Red Hat community. Clear? Not clear? Clear? Not clear? Yeah, sorry. From the Red Hat, and as I said, okay, previously to the students, as students, for every n version of the community, we'll have an n-1 enterprise edition. This is just what we discussed as of now.
Oh, okay.
Great. May I have your background?
Okay. My name is Ansh. I'm a systems engineer. I'm just now using a JBoss, and I want to learn more about it. And I'm staying in Africa.
Oh, you're also from South Africa. Cool. We have another friend of us called Serge from the same place.
Oh, okay, good.
I hope you both can communicate easily. Great.
Yeah.
So, Ansh, welcome back. Welcome to our session. Okay. If I'm not clear, if you see that my rate of speech is little faster, as I said yesterday, you have each and every right, not only Ansh or Serge, Sriram or Fazil or anyone, they can immediately pause me up. I'll try to slow down my pace. Okay?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
My pleasure. And Vasu, just give him the yesterday's recording and even today's recording so that he will be also in pace with other one. Okay?
Yes, sir. Sure. Yeah. I'll send him after the session.
Good. Thank you. So, well, continuing our session. Okay. So, as I said, we have two different flavors of JBoss application server. One is the community, and the other one is the enterprise. Community coming from the Red Hat, from the JBoss.org or the Wildfly community. Enterprise, okay, coming from the Red Hat portal. Another important point to remember here is that unlike the other application servers like WebLogic, WebSphere, okay, any other softwares, okay, it's not mandatory for you to know the information about the JBoss application server in the lower versions. Why? Because JBoss application server, which is present in the lower version, the features, the concepts present in that is nowhere in comparison with what we see in the 6.x and above version. The JBoss application server 6.x is completely a revamp of JBoss application server seen in the low versions of 5.x and below. So if you think that Shiva, I don't know about the JBoss application server lower versions, so in an interview, would I be asked on how do I respond to that? Frankly speaking, no need to worry. There's no comparison between the JBoss in the lower versions and in the higher versions. Point number one. Point number two, okay, JBoss application server 5.x, okay, doesn't have a enterprise copy. Red Hat full-fledgedly captured the JBoss application server, or the complete acquisition of the JBoss application server by the Red Hat is done starting from 6.0 version. So if you think that Shiva for this course is the prerequisite or one of the constraints, probably from the job point of view, architecture point of view, designing point of view, do I need to know the 5.x? Answer to that question is no, not at all needed. Clear? Anyone, any questions still here? Okay. Silence, I'll assume no questions from anyone. Guys, if you have any questions,
Sure.
as I keep on saying in every session of mine, you got each and every right to pause me up. Please pause me up if you're not clear.
Shiva?
Yeah.
Fazil
Someone
here.
had a question? Yeah, Fazil.
Yeah, Fazil. Shiva 5 version, and I mean, can we go through the difference in later sessions? Like, there is no difference, you said. So there should be a minority differences. I hope so.
No, frankly
Because from
speaking,
starting,
yeah, let me take this question. Okay, frankly speaking, okay, okay, since you're from India, I can take this simple example. I'm sure you must have seen the Maruti cars and must have driven a couple of Maruti cars. Okay, if you see the Maruti car called as a Maruti Alto that was present now, and the Maruti car which you're trying to see like Brezza or S-Cross, they completely revamped. The Maruti market that was there 10 years back, if you see 5 to 10 years back, to the maximum extent, the famous car, the famous market for the Maruti was the Swift car or Alto car. But if you see them right now, they are very famous for the two topmost model called as an S-Cross and the Brezza. So there's a complete revamp of the Maruti market compared to the low versions compared 10 years back versus now. In a similar way, if you see the JBoss application server 5.x, in 5.x we have something called as an, I don't want to use the term profiles, but still I'll be using that. We had something called as an profiles. Okay, that profile concept which you see in 5.x and in 6.x, there's no comparison. Configuration. Okay, in the 5.x, each and every configuration is present in one master directory. In 6.x, it's not like that. It's more structured, it's more clear, it's more conventional. In 5.x, whenever you want to update your class path, you need to keep it in the lib folder and update the changes in the JBoss bin folder. In 6.x, it's not like that. The class path hierarchy, the class path loading is completely defined or derived in a different way altogether. If you see the starting of the JBoss application server for whenever I want to start the JBoss application server, in 5.x, irrespective of whether I'm trying to go for a horizontal scaling or vertical scaling, I just got one mode, and using that one mode, I'll try to start and stop to scale up my JBoss either in a horizontal or vertical scaling. In 6.x, it's not like that. In 6.x, okay, we have completely two different modes called as a standalone mode and domain mode, which will drive the horizontal and the vertical scaling. To start the JBoss application server, in lower versions, I got run.sh. In 6.x, although we have run.sh, we don't use that, but we try to use either the standalone.sh or the domain.sh. In 5.x and the lower versions, the mod.jk is the default web load balancer that we have got. In 6.x, we have the one that is being preferred and supported is the mod cluster. Fazil, did I answer your question?
yeah, got it.
Anyone? Any questions still here? Anyone? Any questions still here? Good. Ansh, you are clear what we are trying to talk about? Something clear, not clear? Perfect. How about you, Serge? You are clear? Serge, you are also clear? Perfect. And how about Shriram, you are clear? Great. So since we have some overview, since we have understanding of the 6.x, I forgot to update one important point answering to the Fazil's question. Fazil, if you see the JBoss application server 5.x, 5.x is not cloud compatible. It's not a cloud ready architecture. 6.x is primarily dedicatedly defined for the cloud readiness. What is meant by cloud readiness? Don't ask me. Just understand that cloud readiness is nothing but, okay, if I want to take you as a JBoss application server, you need to have that quality called as in JBoss skills. In a similar way, any component, any software, I want to use it in the cloud, okay, it should be cloud native. It should be cloud specific. Your JBoss application server 5.x is not cloud native. It's not cloud supported. Making sense? Great. So having some introduction, having some knowledge on the JBoss application server, it's very important that we try to understand more about the JBoss application server. If you want to understand, if you want to learn more about the JBoss application server, first and most important thing you need to do is the installation. Okay, once you do the installation, okay, you'll be having an acquaintance or knowledge on the and experience on the JBoss application server. So it's very important that we understand the installation so that we can understand more about the JBoss application server. So if you see the JBoss application server installation, when I'm saying that I want to do the installation of the JBoss application server, two things come into our mind. Shiva, I have an operating system called as an Windows-based operating system. I have an operating system called as an Linux or Unix-based operating system. How do I do the installation? Is the installation same for both Windows and Linux or Unix flavor, or is it different? The reason why this question might come up is, by default, in all the Windows flavored operating system, by default, the GUI is supported. By default, the GUI is supported. Graphical user interface. Anything and everything I want to execute, I double click on that installer. A beautiful colored screen will come for me because my operating system supports or has that capability. But the Linux operating system, which we are trying to access using the PuTTY session or any of the PuTTY related software, doesn't have a GUI supported. But JBoss application server says that I'm not concerned whether you have the Windows or whether you have the Linux flavored operating system. Irrespective of the type of operating system you have got, I can allow you to do the installation of the JBoss application server either by using the GUI mode, either by using the silent mode, or the command line also you can call. The third one is by using the auto installer. Fourth one is by unzipping the software. Fifth one is by using the AM update. So what JBoss application server is saying is that, okay, especially my discussion, my training is more in line with the Red Hat portal. Okay, Red Hat software, Red Hat JBoss application server. So what that one will say is that, okay, irrespective of the type of operating system you're having, you might have a Windows which supports a GUI, you might have a Linux operating system which doesn't support the GUI. I'm not concerned. It's irrespective of the type of operating system you are having. I can do the installation of the JBoss application server either by using the GUI mode, command line or silent mode, auto, zip and yum. Shiva, one question. Can you explain me all these things? Yum, okay? Yum is basically meant for the Linux or the Unix flavored operating systems. If you see the Linux or the Unix flavored operating system, okay, by default, okay, if you have the software available as a repository, if you have the software available as a package, you can simply say yum install JBoss-EAP and you can comfortably do the installation of the JBoss application server, and in this particular scenario, by default, the software would be installed in a var folder. Shiva, I'm not clear. Can you explain me more? Very simple. We all know about the control panel. Under the control panel, okay, if you go there, do you see this one? Turn Windows switcher on or off. Everyone able to see that? Okay. When you click on this, okay, by default, let's say if you want to do a telnet, by default, if you want to use an IS server, these are the softwares that are not getting installed by default, okay, but the component, the executable files, by default are present in the operating system. For example, if you see the telnet, okay, telnet client or the telnet server is not by default installed in all the Windows operating system. You need to go to the control panel, go to this particular option and simply check the checkbox so that that package, that software component will then be installed for you. But there's no need for you to download it. It will be there. In a similar way, for any reason, if your operating system has the JBoss application server in a Linux flavored operating system available as a package inside your repository, you can simply execute this particular command so that the JBoss application server would be installed as a package under the var directory. Clear? Not clear? How about Fazil, Ansh or Search? Great. So the next one we have here is a zip one. Okay. Whenever you want to install the software, and if you have the software available in a zip format, nothing you need to do. Just simply unzip the software, extract the software, extract the file. The installation of the JBoss application server would by default be done and available to you. Clear? Not clear? Guys, clear? Not clear? Okay, cool. The next one we have is the auto installer. Before we talk about this, I want to talk about the first two options, then we'll come back to the auto. If your operating system supports the GUI software, okay, if your operating system supports the GUI mode, by default, whenever you want to install the JBoss application server, simply double click on this particular software component. For example, if you see on my Windows operating system, let me see if I have the software. I think this is a WinRAR file, or let me double click and see. No, this is not a WinRAR file. Okay, let me show you the software a little bit later. But imagine that you have a software downloaded on a Windows-based operating system, and if since the Windows-based operating system by default suppose the GUI mode, whenever you are trying to do the installation on that Windows-based operating system, simply double-click. Okay, simply double-click that particular software available on that particular Windows-based operating system. A beautiful color screen will come for you, welcoming you to the installation of the JBoss application server. The console will look something like this. One second. Yeah, this is how the first page will be there when you try to do the installation. Clear, everyone? This is how the GUI screen will come for you. I'll show you also if you want. But anyone, any questions still here? Great. How about others? Great. Okay. So since no one is not having any questions, let me continue. The next one we have is the command line or the silent mode. In a command line or in the silent mode, whenever we want to do the installation of the JBoss application server, what we try to do is that this is by default meant for the Linux or the Unix flavored operating system. In a Linux or the Unix flavored operating system, if you see here, by default the GUI is not supported. Since by default the GUI is not supported in all those operating system where the GUI is not supported and you want to do the installation of your JBoss application server, we use the command line or the silent mode of installation. So what we need to do here is that, okay, as part of the installation, nothing much we need to do. Okay, we just need to go to the part where the software is there and simply say -mode equal to silent. Okay, whenever you want to do the installation of your JBoss application server using a silent mode, what you need to do is that, okay, you need to go to the location where the software is there, invoke the software, and when you're invoking the software, what you need to do here is that you need to simply invoke the software and say -mode equal to silent. Automatically silent mode of installation will be done for you. Anyone, any questions still here? Okay, cool. I assume no one is not having any questions. So if you see here, except the auto installer, if you see any other mode of installation that you have got, by default all those modes are meant to do the installation of JBoss application server in one operating system. Clear? Not clear? Whatever the modes which you are trying to talk we have talked till now, right now, okay, they are the one that will allow us to do the JBoss application server installation in one machine at one point of the time. If you want to do the same installation on another machine, you need to repeat the same steps even on the other machine also. But imagine that you want to do the installation of the JBoss application server on 10 machines. Okay, and in all these 10 machines, okay, the directory structure, the folder structure, the naming structure, everything is same in all these 10 folders or in all these 10 machines. So how do we traditionally used to do the installation is that we used to go to the 10 operating system, And in whatever the 10 operating system where we are trying to do the installation, what we used to do is that, okay, we used to run the or invoke the software on that particular 10 machines. But this is not a suggested approach because the steps which I'm trying to follow are same irrespective of whether I'm there on machine 1 or machine 9 or machine 10. So in all the scenarios where you don't want to do the installation following the same steps, and if you want to automate the installation, JBoss Application Server says that on all the 10 or 100 machines, don't do the installation in a single shot. Do the installation in one of the machine. At the end of the installation, you get a file called auto.xml file. Take this auto.xml file on whatever the machine you have when you want to do the installation. Take this auto.xml file that you get while trying to do the installation on one of the machine and pass this auto.xml file as a parameter, okay, and do the installation in another 10 machines. That's clear? What we are trying to do, we are trying to understand about the auto installation. How do we do the installation using the auto.xml file? Very simple. At any point of the time, if you want to do the installation of your JBoss using the auto installer, what you can do is that, sorry, just excuse me 1 minute. Yeah, sorry everyone. Yep. So we are trying to talk about the auto installation. So whenever you want to do the automatic installation, this is generally meant if you want to do the installation of the JBoss application server on all the machines, okay, wherein which you want to have the same directory structure, same configuration, same thing in all the 10 machines. So in all the scenarios, what you need to do is that you need to invoke the installer, and once you invoke the installer, simply say at the end of the installer the auto.xml file. Let's say that you want to do the installation on 100 machines. On first machine, try to create the auto.xml file, which is by default created for you whenever you're trying to do the installation on that machines. In the last button step, you'll get this one. Take this auto.xml file, copy on other 99 machines, okay, invoke the installer, that's it. Your installation will be automatically completed on all the other 99 machines. Anyone, any questions still here? How about others?
Shiva?
Yes, Raj.
Yeah, that auto installation is very interesting. Never seen that. Are we gonna test that one?
Sure. We can do the lab if you want.
All right, cool. Thank you.
That we can comfortably do it. Other than that, anyone, any questions? Yes, Shriram. Shriram, you had some question? Shriram, you had some question?
Shiva sir, Fazil.
Yeah, Fazil.
Fazil here. When I buy Red Hat license software, I mean the Red Hat Linux, do I get this package yum install the package which you said?
Very difficult question. Okay. The
Okay.
reason why I'm saying it's difficult is that, okay, I'm not sure if you run a business, okay. Let's say that you're coming to the SVR technologists and you're asking them, sure, guys, I want to come for a JBoss training with you. And that SVR people says that, okay, X amount is the one you need to pay. You say that, do you also offer cloud training? They said yes. When you ask them for the chart, they say it's Y. You say express Y equal to Z, not Z. Can you give it for Z minus 2? They said, no, no, that's not possible. One course, one fee. We can't give the course as an add-on. But if you say that, no, no, not add-on, let's try to negotiate for a beautiful price which is beneficial for you and me. And the discussion finalizes to some Z minus 3 or Z minus 8 is the amount. That works out. But if you ask SVR people to help it with a one training and one training free. One training, take the money, one training free, 1+1 offer. Then that doesn't work for them. Similarly, Red Hat people also, they say that, okay, you come buy the operating system software, excellent, we can do that. But if you say that, no, no, I want even the JBoss application server package also, they will not say that we'll give you will not give you an enterprise copy. They say that we will give you a developer edition of enterprise copy. What does that mean to say, Shiva? It will have a limited support. Frankly speaking, it will not at all have a limited support because nothing is available at free in the market. In world, nothing is free. Clear? Did I answer your question, Fazil?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Yeah. How about Shyam? I assume Shyam had some question. Cool, cool. So we know about what are the different ways of doing the installation irrespective of the type of operating system and how do I do the installation. But before you try to think of jumping into the installation, it's very important for us to understand what are the prerequisites to do the installation. To do the installation of any software, there are prerequisites. Similar to the JBoss application server also says that if you want to do the installation of the JBoss application server, the only one prerequisite it has is the JDK should be available. Clear? The JDK should be available and installed as environmental variable. Clear? In the sense that when you install the JDK as an environmental variable, assuming it's a Windows-based operating system, when I say Java-version, I need to get the version of my Java. When I say echo %Java_home, it will give me the path of where my Java is present. Clear? Here it's not there, I think, but when you do an echo %Java_home, it will be there. It will show you the path of the JDK. Similarly, for the EAP6, if you have 1.6 or 1.7, 1.6 is not that effective, but 1.67 is the one that is being supported. Point number one. Point number two, we will not be concentrating all of our lab on 6.0. Our concentration would be on using the either 6.2 or 6.4. Am I clear? Such, did I answer your question? How about others? Shriram? Silence, I'll take it as yes. Do you all know how do we set the JDK as an environmental variable on your Windows and in the Linux flavored operating system? How many of you know how to set the JDK as an in the path variable? Perfect. How about others? Anish, Fazil in Windows is. How about Shira and okay in Linux, you know, excellent. Cool. So since I see a mixture of all of them, first we'll try to talk on the Windows, then we'll try to talk on the Linux. So for the Windows, it's very simple. Go to My Computer. So please. Sure. I'll do that, Vasu. Cool. So if you want to configure the JBoss as an JDK as an environmental variable, go to My Computer, right click and go to Properties. When you go to the Properties, okay, go to the Advanced System Settings and you see something called as an environmental variables. Everyone able to see that? Okay, click on the environmental variable and you need to add a variable called as an Java underscore home and give the value where your JDK is there. In my scenario, let me see if I have any Java software already installed here. It's a JRE, I need to have a JDK. Nope. But it's not correct doing it. Just for the lab sake, I'm showing you. Okay. Assume that this is the JDK 7, JDK 1.7. Let's assume that. Let's assume that this is the JDK 1.7 location. Go here and provide the path here. Clear? Not clear. How about others? Once we do it in that way, okay, your Java will be defined as an environmental variable, and if you want, update the same information even in your update the same even in your path variable, saying whatever is the JDK path you have defined, give that particular path here. In Unix, it's pretty simple, no need of so many complications. So what you do is that, okay, let's say that you logged in into an ID called as in Shiva. One second. Generally, 99.99% of the time, at least with my experience, I've never seen any company allowing you to do the installation using the root ID. So if you have the facility to do the installation with the root ID, then you can set the environmental variable inside the profile file. But this is something 99.99% of the time, no one or none of the companies will allow you to do. So just simply ignore this, log in into your individual ID or whatever is your group ID you have got. JBoss. This one also deleted. Excellent. So assume that I'm there in an ID called as in Shiva or JBoss or whatever is your group ID. Go to your home folder. Let's say I'm going to the home folder JBoss, and under this you have two files called as bash rc or bash underscore profile. whichever one is convenient for you, edit that. And you see here the Java setting. Everyone able to see the Java setting here? This is how you need to define. Here I have given it as a 1.6, but for JBoss EAP 6.2 and higher version, we should use a JDK 1.7. I'll update to you while I'm trying to show you the lab. But this is how we try to do it. Anyone, any question still here? How about search, Fazil, Shriram? Shriram, you're also clear? Good. So if you're all clear and if you don't have any questions, I have a small request from every one of you. Please drop an email to my test ID, to my ID which I'm putting it into the chat window right now, so that I can share the software with you all people. But before I do that, one question: how many of you all have the softwares? Do all people have the JBoss software? You want me to share that, or you have the JBoss software, enterprise copy? Okay. And how about others? I had a confirmation from Shriram and such. How about Fazil, Anj, and others? Cool. And how many of you have the Linux flavored operating system? And before Linux, do you want me to show the lab on the Windows or on the Linux? Okay. How about others? Cool. Since majority of the crowd is saying the Linux, let's do it on the Linux itself. So you all guys have a VM or a Linux machine? Okay, Shriram has a VM copy. How about others? Search has that. Unsure Fazil. Good. Fazil also has excellent. How about you, Ansh? You have that? Great. Since you all have the VM, I'll not share the VM to you. I'll not share the Linux software with you, which is a PDF file or which is an image file. I'll try to share with you all a JBoss software, which is a jar file. Please drop me a test email. This is my email ID. Please drop me a test email to this ID so that I can share the software. On Monday, when we resume, I'll try to show you the lab on how do we do the installation. Then we'll try to talk about the standalone mode. Once we are done talking about the standalone mode, we'll then talk about the domain mode and the related concepts. So by Monday, I expect you all to have the JDK or the Java available as an environmental variable, as well as the JBoss software available. Sure. I already did that, but let me do it once again. Let me share my email ID. Okay. If you, sorry, it went to Vasu only. Yeah. So if you want the only the JBoss, put that in the email. If you want the JBoss as well as the JDK 1.7 even put that. If you want JDK, JBoss and VM, even put that information. If you're not putting anything, I'll share only the JBoss software. But on Monday when you're resuming back, we all should have the JDK installed and available as an environmental variable in your machine. If you want to understand how do we validate, simply say Java-version and simply say which Java. The moment you say which Java, it should show you the path where your Java software is there. The JDK software is there. Clear? Not clear? Great. So since you are all clear, please drop an email, accordingly do the configuration on the weekend, go through the recordings, because mostly from next weekend onwards we'll not have a vacation. We'll have a session even on Saturday and Sunday. Okay? All best, guys. Bye. Bye, everyone. Good night and good day.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.